Of Kandakis, these great queens, ruled over a nation of people, an empire that is enigmatic in terms of its chronological existence. We do not know how old the Kushite Empire is. We do know this: everywhere you go in the world, you see evidence of some Kushite civilization. That Arabia came out of the Kushites, that India came out of the Kushites, that Stonehenge was built by the Kushites. Godfrey Higgins, Gerald Massey, Albert Churchwald, and other European scholars tell us that these people came over and developed and built the monuments in England and established civilization there before any Anglo-Saxons ever came to the island of England or to Wales or to Scotland. These Kushites. In the book, The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire by Drusilla Dunjee Houston, she wrote in 1926, talks about all of these civilizations established by the Kushites. The word means people kissed of the sun. Now, when the Greeks came along, they couldn't pronounce Kush. So they called them Ethiopians. Ethiopia. People with burnt faces. So that's where the word Ethiopia comes from, because the Greeks could not pronounce the word. That's why a lot of things in European language are spelled with a C today. They should be spelled with a K, because they couldn't handle a K sound for them. They hadn't developed speech. Now, you heard this white man say that they didn't even, I'm going to tell you about another one too, they didn't even have a memory, let alone speech. These Kushites were magnificent people. Herodotus, the Greek historian, the father of European history, not of African history, because people were writing history long before Greeks knew how to write. Herodotus says, in the 5th century before the Common Era, he says that they were called the tallest and the most beautiful people on earth. And the average citizen, he said when he visited, lived to be 120 years old. Now, you can keep me from being angry on some of these points, but I get mighty upset when I look at the world and see that a man who was so dissatisfied with himself has messed this world up so bad that when I was once born in this world, I was assured by natural means 120 years, and now I'm living in a world where if I make it to 70, I'm doing good. Now, if this does not make me angry or want to take back power or show to the world that this man does not belong in power, if nothing else does, this really should. And I was reading a book the other day published by some Caucasian physicians who study gerontologists, and they said that humans are supposed to be able to live to 120 years or less. I said, you know, I've been saying this all the time, and here they've come along and said that. 120 years old. The average Greek was living to be 20. They say when the Roman Empire was in its heyday, the average citizen was 22 years old. Anybody who lived to be over 50 years old in Europe at that time was automatically deified as a god. You had to be holy and a god to live that long. 80, no question. This has got to be God, because only God can live 80 years. This is in their own history. Africans were living 120 years, President Imad. I want my 120 back. We got to free some land. Because that's the only way we can do it. Free the land so we can get back to eating the way we're supposed to, having the type of life we're supposed to have with the exercise, and the main thing they found that could help you live to be 120, to live a life without stress. The main thing that kills us is stress. And the thing that is most responsible for the stress is the hostile economic environment in which we live. Making a living is supposed to be fun. Most people hate to go to work. Hate to go to work because you had to work at something you don't really want to do and be someplace you don't want to be. And that's what incensed Europeans when they came here, in the red man and the African who were already here many years before Columbus or anybody else got here, was living side by side and made their living from the things they enjoyed: hunting, fishing, fowling, weaving. All these things were happy tasks to them. They could do them all day long. Said, how dare you make your living so easy when I have to dig for potato and juniper root and eat raw meat? We got to change this.